sometimes it goes. That's why maybe the screen went away.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. If I'm not audible, you in between, you can tell
I'll,
me.
I'll, I'll, I'll I'll tell you, ma'am. I'll tell you.
Yeah. Okay.
Dear viewers, good evening and I welcome you all on the behalf of the Indian Medical College to this online class. So in today's session, we have a great speaker, a beloved Dr. Jarina Ma'am from from GEMS Medical College and Hospital, Srinakulam. Madam is Associate Professor from the Department of Community Medicine, and she'll be taking a class today on the topic levels of prevention and mode of intervention. And good evening, and I welcome you, ma'am. It is our immense pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And dear viewers, if you have any doubts or any clarification, you can just post it up in the comment section right below, and your queries will be clarified by our doctor at the end of the session. Ma'am, you can start the presentation. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So, good evening, everyone. So, this topic I have chosen because it comes as a essay question in community medicine, and also it's very important whenever Viva or any question comes, they will frequently ask with examples. So, what are the levels of prevention and mode of intervention? So, let's start without any delay. Okay, let's start the presentation. So these sessions learning objectives will be enumerate levels of prevention, okay, and to describe various modes of intervention of disease with examples. So we'll start. What do you mean by prevention? So prevention is just a continuous process of counteracting the diseases, okay. The measures not only to prevent the occurrence of disease such as risk factor or reduction, but also to arrest the progress of the disease, okay, and reduce its consequences once it's been established. And next is disease can be prevented at three levels. So before I go, the picture itself shows the cure. So we most of the times we hear the proverb, prevention is better than, excuse me, okay, prevention is better than cure. So prevention doesn't just, cure includes only curative care, okay, means we will just deal with treatments, surgeries and all. But prevention, it doesn't only, or it not only includes this curative part, also the preventive and promotive part. So it means risk reduction, arrest the disease progress, and also reduction of complications, okay. So next, as I all you know, so we usually say there are three levels of prevention: primary, secondary, and tertiary. Or before that, one more. This is the most neglected one, the primordial prevention. But still, we'll talk about it in our slides. So there are three levels of prevention. And before this primary, there is something called primordial prevention also. Next is secondary and tertiary. So let's discuss what are these levels. Okay, so it initially will come with primordial prevention. So what is it? So it's defined as prevention of risk factors themselves at very early stage before the lifestyles for a risk factor are adopted. Means before the risk factor can come to your lifestyle, so we will prevent that by simply giving this primordial level of prevention. So beginning with change in the social and environmental conditions in which these factors are observed to develop, and continuing for high risk children, adolescents and young adults. So it means it's a way of preventing the appearance of risk factor itself. Means if there is you will control the environment, the social environment, the physical and mental environment, then you can prevent the development of risk factors. So this is called the primordial level of prevention. Next is this where it will apply. So just to remember, just a this emojis, you are well versed with emojis nowadays. So just You can see this smiley, it means healthy person. Okay, and when the risk factor comes, then this is the first step towards the appearance of the disease. Okay, so before the appearance of risk factor, if you will provide any level of prevention, that is called primordial prevention, which will prevent the appearance of risk factor. I hope you understood. If you have any query at the end, I will apply, I will ask your, I will clear doubts. Sorry. Okay, so next, primordial prevention, you know where you will apply. Now come to how you will going to provide it, or what are the process of providing this primordial prevention. So it is receiving special attention in the prevention of chronic diseases. Nowadays you have more of this chronic diseases, or a modern epidemic is very much in talk. So like diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular diseases. So this is mostly applicable to this chronic diseases, this level of prevention. And for example, obesity, hypertension have their early origins in the childhood. Okay, because this is the time when lifestyles are formed. Okay, so in the school, in the college, these lifestyles will be formed at that time. If we'll educate them by telling that smoking can harm you in future, the eating patterns if you'll revise, so then you will not be overweight, you will not progress towards diabetes. Similarly, exercise, if you have inculcated the behavior of exercise in your lifestyle, then there might be chances that you can will not get any kind of this modern epidemics that everybody is prone to. Similarly, in primordial prevention, efforts are directed towards discouraging children from adopting harmful lifestyles, as I said earlier. And the main intervention in primordial prevention is through individual and mass education, mostly health education. Okay, either individually or mass education in schools, in colleges, in campaigns, in committees. So this is health education to prevent the appearance of risk factor. I hope you understood. Next level is primary prevention, the action taken prior to the onset of the disease. So, as I have shown the picture, once there is risk factors, then there are chances that this risk factor may lead to the disease. So, this primary prevention will apply prior to the onset of the disease, which removes the possibility that the disease will ever occur. Okay, it signifies intervention in the pre-pathogenic phase of the disease. So there is natural history of disease, you might have read. Okay, there is pathogenic and pre-pathogenic phase. So this phase, first pre-pathogenic, then progress to pathogenic phase. So this is signifies the intervention in the pre-pathogenic era, so it will not progress to the disease. Okay, so accomplished by measures like health promotion and specific protection. So it includes positive health. You might have heard positive health. Okay, so which is always a dilemma, will you achieve or not. So this is an accept positive health means an acceptable level of health that will enable every individual to lead a socially and economically productive life. Okay, so this is mostly includes the concept of positive health. So say again, let's come to the emoji where you can easily understand. As we already know, healthy person. Okay, if there is risk factors, then before the risk factor appear, we can provide primordial prevention. But once the risk factor is there in your environment, okay, so you are more prone for the disease. So before the appearance of the disease, if we provide any level of prevention, that is called primary level of prevention. Hope I am clear. Then come, what are the interventions we can do under the primary level of prevention? So one is health promotion. So in health promotion, you can provide health education, environmental modifications, okay, nutritional interventions, also lifestyle and behavioral changes, which can promote the health. Okay. Next is specific protection. So what do you mean by this word itself tells you that it's a specific protection. It protects specific diseases, or specific, it are targeted to specific population or specific diseases, like immunization. So immunization means there are diseases are there, but if we'll target the specific population, like under 5 children are given immunization, okay, all over the world, okay, so that they could be prevented by the 7 preventable diseases. Okay, similarly chemo and seroprophylaxis, there are prophylaxis, chemoprophylaxis, you might have heard. So before you travel to some areas like where there is swine flu or there is malaria, so you should take some kind of drugs, okay, chloroquine. And for you are traveling to endemic areas of malaria, then you will take this drugs like chloroquine, so you can prevent it. So this is called chemoprophylaxis. Okay, similarly, specific nutrients like iron deficiency anemia in our country, it is more prevalent. To prevent that, we are giving specific nutrition, that is iron folic acid supplementation to all, not only pregnant women that you are aware of, but also for the children's, for reproductive age women, adolescent boys and girls both. So nowadays in school also you go and see, you watch, they are provided with this iron folic acid supplementation. Then protection towards occupational, so occupational and environmental hazards. So whoever work in industries, they are prone for, they have risk factors, isn't it? So to prevent the any kind of disease, we will take specific protection. We will provide them with this goggles, or the this apron, lead aprons, and also the helmets, shoes, gloves, all these kind of things. Okay, like you might have heard in COVID-19, so these ppe kits are provided to all doctors, okay, because they are at risk, okay, they got risk factors, they might get affected. To prevent that, you will provide them with ppe kit, so that they will get protected. So this comes under specific protection. Okay, hope I'm clear again. So just come to health promotion. Just our definition says that it is the process of enabling people to increase control over the determinants of health. Okay, there are different determinants of health that I'm not going to discuss now, but you might have read from the book also. There are dimensions and determinants. There are two different things. Some other class I will discuss. So this is to increase the control over determinants of health and thereby improve their health itself. Okay, the promotion of health, the process of enabling people to increase control over and to improve their health. Okay, as I give an example, diet, exercise, okay, balance, taking of balanced diet, okay, there is regular behavior of exercising in the morning, doing yogas and all. So all this comes under health promotion activities, and is most cost effective. As you can say, there is no nothing you can spend. So if you will do or work for yourself, self care you will do, then you can achieve this health promotion, and you might prevent the disease to come to you, isn't it? And it's not disease specific. So this is not any specific, but if you'll do exercise, it will prevent diabetes. It's not disease specific. If you'll do exercise, it can prevent you from diabetes, it can prevent you from hypertension, it can prevent you also from the any kind of cardiovascular disease also. So it is not disease specific, it is more cost effective, and it will help you to promote your health. Okay, and primary prevention, as I said you, so there are some activities, again for with examples I will tell. It will promote health, you can do by healthy habits, as I told you, by exercising, by uh, taking nutritionally healthy foods, okay, fruits and vegetables, and also balanced diet. Okay, so all food groups, you might have known about this food pyramid. There are 5 groups, okay, so that also you can include. Okay, so this thing, and avoid smoking, alcohol addictions, okay, any other medications that you can prevent. Okay, so avoid, so that you will achieve this, or you can uh, prevent yourself from falling into any kind of affection of diseases. Okay, and this primary prevention has got WHO has recommended the two kinds of approaches for primary prevention, okay, of chronic diseases where the risk factors are established. So you have risk factors, then there are two approaches you can do under primary level of prevention. What are the two approaches? One is population strategy, and another is high risk strategy. Okay, so the name itself has given you clues. So what does it mean? So let's discuss. What is population strategy? Population strategy is directed at the whole population, okay, irrespective of individual risk level. And the studies has already also told the small reduction in the average blood pressure of a population or serum cholesterol of a population would produce a large reduction in the incidence of cardiovascular diseases. Okay, and the population approach is directed towards socioeconomic, behavioral, and lifestyle changes. So mostly it is targeted to change the lifestyles and behaviors and socioeconomic pattern. Okay, then go up to high risk strategy. So population strategy is towards whole population, and it will as recommended by the WHO under the primary level of prevention. And high risk strategy, it is targeted towards some high risk people, okay, to bring preventive care to individuals at special risk, they are targeted, then it is called as high risk strategy. And this requires detection of individuals at high risk by the optimum use of clinical methods. As high risk, I told you with example I can give, like you anything that is runs in a family, suppose the breast cancer, okay, so maybe the siblings, the daughters, or their generations, they should be very vigilant, okay, and they should go for this uh, uh, for detecting the individuals if they are having any kind of symptoms or not. Okay, so this is the identifying or required detection of individuals at a high risk by the optimum use of clinical methods. Okay, like similarly obese people, they might have chances they will get in future diabetes or hypertension, so you could regularly check their blood pressure, or not regularly, suppose another word is given, optimum use of clinical methods, not whoever is high risk, we can monitor them so that we could prevent it to go into disease format. Okay, next come to secondary prevention. So what is secondary prevention? It is defined as an action which halts the progress of a disease at its incipient stage and prevents complication. So before it goes to or progresses to complications, so it will halt the progress. Okay, so it will halt at the initial, it is targeted at the initial stage or incipient stage. The specific interventions under secondary prevention are early diagnosis, okay, and this adequate treatment. So early diagnosis, you will diagnose early the diseases, okay, and also you will give adequate treatment. So these are the two interventions under secondary prevention. So with this, again, the emojis came. So here, the healthy people or the healthy person, okay, when they get disease and the disease is at incipient stage, okay. So once they have got risk factors and they got disease, their disease is incipient stage. So to prevent it from getting worse, okay, so the halting the progress of the disease, okay, so that is called secondary prevention. Okay, so to prevent the progress of the disease or prevent the complications to being occurring. Okay, this is what, if you will not halt this process, then it will goes to complicated stage. Okay, so secondary level of prevention, it applies at the incipient stage of the disease, and it halts and the progress of the disease and prevents the complications. Okay, next come to secondary, just about the secondary prevention attempts to arrest the disease at the initial stage, okay, and process and restore health by seeking out unrecognized disease and treating it before irreversible pathological changes takes place. Means in the early stage where uh, you can prevent the progress to a stage where it cannot be treated. Okay, so to prevent the disease person to go to that stage that where it cannot be treated, so that level is called secondary prevention. So where, so it so restores health by seeking out unrecognized disease and treating it before irreversible pathological changes takes place, and reverse communicability of infectious diseases. Okay, it thus protects others from acquiring the infection and thus provides secondary prevention for the infected ones, okay, and primary prevention for the potential contacts. So as you can say, so what do you mean by this sentence actually? So secondary prevention you will provide to person who is already diseased, and this will prevent the person being going to the going to the progressive stage of the disease where the disease cannot be reversible or unreversible irreversible pathological changes will occur. Okay, so by providing secondary infection it will prevent this disease progress, and it also provides primary prevention for the potential contacts. Okay, so means secondary prevention it will provide, so it will also halt the communicability, isn't it? So like take the example of COVID patients. If the disease person is there, okay, so the other who is in contact, so they are also prone. Okay, so what you can do, the disease will not progress from should not progress to complications. So you will provide secondary prevention. That means you will provide treatment to the COVID patient, isn't it? And also you will, this in turn provides primary prevention, because the contacts are already have risk factors. Okay, they are exposed to the patients, and to prevent the disease. Okay, so if the person is treated and the disease person is already on treatment, he's practicing the mask and all precautions, then it will prevent the communicability to the other patients. So in these terms, even though the persons, contact persons who are around them, they are at risk, they are having risk factors, but they will be prevented by the disease person being treated. So I hope you understood. If not, then at the end I will again explain. So this is what, if the disease person is given secondary level of treatment, it prevents or reverses the communicability, okay, of immune, and that will provide in turn primary prevention to the potential contacts. Okay. The WHO expert committee in 1973 defined early detection, okay, of the health disorders as a detection of disturbances, okay, disturbance of homeostatic and compensatory mechanism, while biochemical, morphological, and functional changes are still reversible. Okay, so that is called your early detection. So early detection, it doesn't mean that if the patient is already in the stage 3 4 of the disease and you have identified, that is not. So early detection, it means that you should be identifying the disease process at the early stage where the biochemical, morphological, functional changes are still reversible stage. So that is what early detection means. Okay, the earlier the disease is diagnosed and treated, the better is the prognosis, isn't it? So you already know, whenever any cancer we talk about, so if this diagnosed early in stage 1, or this earlier stage in situ conditions, then it's easy to treat, or it's treatable. Okay, if it is late, then it can't do anything. So that's what disease is diagnosed and treated, and the better prognosis, okay, for better prognosis of the case, and in the prevention of the occurrence of other secondary cases also. It also prevents the occurrence of secondary cases. Okay, so how? For example, tuberculosis, if you'll diagnose early only, okay, then you can, because it's a notifiable disease, if you'll diagnose early, so you can prevent others from getting infected. Similar with COVID also, isn't it? If you find any COVID patient, so if you know, okay, and they have diagnosed early, then it is very helpful for others also, isn't it? They will also get prevented from getting the disease, isn't it? Then just in a flow chart, I have shown the secondary prevention includes two interventions. This is this early diagnosis, which include the screening procedures, and appropriate treatment or proper treatment. So proper treatment includes along with that, this promotional health activities, maintaining body weight, sugar, BP, and all, self care, and also prevention of complications. Okay, so this treatment is different for different diseases. So as you go on reading the communicable diseases and non-communicable, you'll get to know. Okay. Next, the highest level, or the last, you can say, the tertiary prevention. So it is used when the disease process has advanced beyond its early stage. Okay, so initial stage. So he has already progressed. Okay, it is defined as all the measures available to reduce or limit impairments and disabilities, and to promote the patient's adjustment to irremediable conditions. Okay, intervention that should be accomplished in the stage of tertiary prevention are two, mostly disability limitation and rehabilitation. These are the two modes of intervention applicable under the heading of tertiary prevention. Okay, so this is where you can apply when the disease has already progressed beyond the early stage. Okay, again with we'll get to know clearly in this emojis. So healthy person, once it get diseased, so you'll get complicated, so already disease has been progressed. Okay, so to prevent the progression further, we'll apply this tertiary prevention by two modes of intervention, that is disability limitation and rehabilitation. Okay, I hope you understood. So this is where you will apply the tertiary level of prevention, which can prevent the progressed disease for further problems. It will prevent further problems. Okay. So what is disability limitation? So to understand it, you need to understand what do you mean by disability. Okay. So then you will prevent or limit the disability. So when the disease will progress, is not treated early, okay, then it will go to impairment stage, then you will go to disability stage and handicap at the end. So what are these things we will understand with the small examples. Impairment is any loss or abnormality of psychological, physiological, or anatomical structure or function. Okay, so that is impairment. Okay, any loss of or function. Okay, abnormality of psychological, physical, or anatomical structure or function. So just remember any loss of structure or function. For example, I will say, suppose while going, somebody has an accident and he lost his foot during the accident. Okay, so that he lost his foot, okay, or leg, he suppose. So that is called impairment. Okay, so impairment already we know. So let's go to disability. So disability is any restriction or lack of ability to perform an activity in the manner or within the range considered normal for the human being. So earlier, which is considered normal for the human being, he cannot do the regular or normal activity as he is supposed to because of the loss of the function. Okay, so that is called disability, any restriction or lack of ability to perform an activity that is considered normal. Okay, so that is called disability. So like the person who has lost his foot, okay, so now he's not able to walk because earlier the 35 year suppose man who is able to regularly walk, okay, so doing his daily activities, so that is not able to do because he has lost his foot, so that the person is disabled. Okay. Now, what do you mean by handicap? Handicap is termed as a disadvantage for a given individual resulting from an impairment or disability that limits or prevents the fulfillment of a role in the community that is normal. Okay, depending on age, sex, and social or cultural factors for that individual. It means it's a disadvantage condition. Okay, so where an individual uh, limits or prevents the fulfillment of a role in the community or society, you can say. Okay, so suppose because earlier the person is a 35-year young male who is a only earning member in the family. Because of the accident he's lost his foot and he's not able to walk, not able to do his routine activity. Because of that he is not earning now, he lost his job. Okay, he's not able to fulfill his role in the community. Okay, as a father or as a person, okay, who is earning member, he is now not able to earn, so now he's handicapped. Okay, so we have to prevent disease to progress from impairment to disability to handicap. Okay, so how we are going to do it? I hope you understand these three terminologies, very important. So now come to rehabilitation. So what is rehabilitation? It is the combined and coordinated use of medical, social, educational, and vocational measures for training and retraining of the individual to the highest possible level of functional ability. So we have to, so once the disease has progressed and it has caused complicated and it has already progressed in such a extent that he is not able to do his activity, then we have to train and retrain the individual, okay, to the highest possible level for his functional ability, so that he could do he's maybe functionally again be active. Okay, so like we are rehabilitating the persons who have been disabled, okay, okay, impaired or handicapped. Okay, so we are training them for some other job that they can do without, suppose that this person who have given the example who has lost his foot, okay, he is not able to work, he is not able to earn, but if you train the person with some other activity that is done with his hand, suppose, okay, with otherwise his mental skills, suppose he is very much graduated, so you can train him in such a way that he could earn. So this is called rehabilitation, this is called vocational rehabilitation. So there are different kinds of rehabilitation that we will go through. There are medical rehabilitation, okay, by providing some calipers and all to the person who has lost his leg. Okay, this physical or functional rehabilitation it is also called. Then vocational rehabilitation, as I give an example, restoration of the capacity to earn the livelihood is called vocational rehabilitation. Then psychological rehabilitation. What is it? Restoring of personal dignity and confidence. Okay, you might have heard about this uh, drug intake, who have been involved in drug intakes, who are drug addicts. So they have been also going to rehabilitation centers. What they've been doing there, so they will be psychological rehabilitated, okay, by giving them the confidence, they by telling them how to go for giving up this addiction and all. So that is called psychological rehabilitation. And the last one is social rehabilitation by restoration of the family and social relationships. So for this, I would like to give example of, suppose, tuberculosis or leprosy or COVID nowadays. Okay, so same, we are coming back to COVID again, but still, so this social rehabilitation, once the patient is also already progressed already, so we need to give him this social support, okay, and family support, okay, restoration of the family and social relationship. Because once there is a disease, okay, so there is progression, and you will know that is going to be complicated. So there will be stigma, okay, there will, society will not accept all this kind of disease. So we have to socially rehabilitate those person who has already been diseased, okay. So that is called social rehabilitation. So in this picture, again, maybe I would like to take some classes about natural history of disease. So this is a picture in your park textbook of computer machine also, you will get this picture. Okay, there is, the disease will progress from pre-pathogenic phase, where there is agent, host and environment, to pathogenic phase. Okay, it will progress from this early pathogenic phase to late pathogenic phase to disability, chronicity, and death at last. Okay, so where you will provide this primordial prevention before this one, okay, before the appearance of the risk factors. Primary prevention in the pre-pathogenic phase, okay, and this this secondary prevention once the disease has been already, the risk factor already is there, and the you will early incipient stage, okay, you will try to identify the disease, okay, early diagnosis, and will provide treatment. So it will not go to the late pathogenic phase, or it will not go to disability, not, okay, not go to late. So tertiary prevention is here. So here we will try to, once the the disease has been progressed to late pathogenic phase, we will try to prevent it from going to complications, going to make it disable, or going to the stage of death. Okay, so tertiary prevention lies here, where it will, this disability limitation and rehabilitation will be provided. Okay, so the simple picture you can able to just clear about at what level what interventions and this level intervention will be provided. Okay, similarly with our emojis, like at the end we'll just see there are three levels of prevention, and one is primordial at the early stage before the risk factor has been appeared. Okay, healthy person, once there is risk, before the appearance of risk factor, you can provide primordial prevention by just giving this health education and all. Once the risk factor is there, so you will try to prevent it from getting disease by giving primary level of prevention, which includes health promotion and specific protection. Okay, and from once the disease is already there, okay, you will prevent it from getting complicated. So what this is, when becomes progressed, okay, so you will prevent the complication in terms of preventing disability and this handicap by providing secondary late pathogenic phase, sorry. So this is late pathogenic phase. So from early to late, so to halt the progression of the disease, you will provide secondary level of prevention, where you will give early diagnosis and treatment. And from there, from late pathogenic stage to complicated stage, to prevent the complications, you will provide tertiary level of prevention, which includes disability limitation and rehabilitation. So I hope it's clear. It's very simple and easy to apply also. You can just write in simple terms of flow chart also, just to show at what level what are the interventions provided. Okay, so this will try to explain it in terms of this pyramid. So when we are free of risk factors, we'll try to protect, we'll try to give this primordial. Okay, when the risk factors for the disease are already present, you will provide this primary prevention, okay, and secondary prevention, where you will protect from, or you will diagnose early and treat. Okay, So all these other levels, what you will do in undiagnosed disease, you will try for opportunities or population screening. Okay, once the disease is diagnosed and uncontrolled, you will try to review. Okay, and once the disease is already progressed, diagnosed, then you will just either you will do nothing or you will just expect observation. So this is in other way to explain the pyramid and iceberg of disease, that may not be much of relevance here, but still you could know at what level what are the intervention provided. So this is just a gist of whatever I talked about till now. Okay, primary, secondary, tertiary level, and different interventions. So just I will go with some examples. I suppose you people will enjoy these examples. The health promotion. So what do you mean by health promotion? So to maintain the health or promote the health. So how will you going to do? Not by the person who is inside the car. Okay, by making the pet dog to run and he himself is inside the car, so he will not get or attain health. Okay, so you have to just do it by yourself. Okay, so if you'll exercise, if you'll uh, do some activity, physical activity, or inculcate it as a behavior in your lifestyle, then you can promote your health. So this is one example of health promotion. Similarly, health promotion activities includes this health education, counseling. Okay, environmental modifications. Okay, so environmental modification examples, suppose there is um around your house. Okay, you are just throwing the uh, garbages. Okay, so there will be more and more flies and mosquitoes also if there is water stagnation. So you can do simple environmental modification methods by putting kerosene oil on the stagnant water. Okay, by this clearing the clogged drainages and all. Okay, by clearing the dump yard. So trying to clear or putting its soil on all the dumping things, so that you can modify the environment and you could promote health. So indirectly it will benefit your health. Okay, so nutritional intervention and balanced diet. Similarly, balanced diet. Okay, so you know all the five food groups are there. So you will skip one food group, then there might be chances you will be deficient in some particular or specific vitamins or minerals. So you have to try to take all the food groups, okay, in proportionate manner. So that will be another chapter, but just to tell you, it should be balanced. Okay, and also there are some lifestyle promotion activities. So to relieve your stress, you can do yoga. Okay, and then some spiritual activities also. Okay, similarly, personal hygiene and environmental sanitation, as I already given example. So personal hygiene and environmental sanitation, so nowadays it's more important in context of COVID era. So wherever you go outside, okay, so wear your mask. Whenever you come back from outside, you just wash your hand, change your clothes. Okay, and discard if it is a normal mask. If it is N95, you can keep it for 1 week at least, and then reuse, or else it is not advisable. Okay, then recreative activity, recreation, okay, facilities and agreeable work conditions. As I can say, all occupational environment. Okay, also educational environment, it should be friendly. Okay, it should be healthy and friendly. Okay, so that they will be more effective outcomes. Okay, so these are some of the activities where you can help health promotion. Similarly, health education, as I told you, where it will be targeted, could be for general public, or a priority groups, or health providers, community leaders, we can also provide. So health education, as we discussed, in mostly in primary prevention. So you know already in school, colleges, they will be giving specific health education. Okay, for menstrual hygiene, how to prevent HIV/AIDS and sexual transmitted diseases. So those things at the early stage, if you will tell, then they will not uh, develop any risk factors. Okay, similarly, it could be provided to specific groups, like breastfeeding practices. So you will provide a community, who are just whoever has got a baby with them. Okay, so postnatal mothers, so there you will target and you will provide them breastfeeding practices, health education. So similarly, for school children's, girls, adults and girls, you will provide them with menstrual hygiene practices. So these are examples of health education. So why I'm giving so many examples, because you might be asked in Viva also, so to provide with, explain it with example, and also in long question also you need to give in every step one example. Similarly, environmental modification I already explained to you. So by just safe water, sanitation measures, insect control, better housing standards, all these things, so COVID medicine, all things are related. So if you do simple measures, you can promote your health. And some in nutritional interventions. So you must have heard about this midday meal program. So there also the girls and boys, so whoever is in school going uh, childrens, they are provided with this midday meal. Okay, so one third of their calorie requirement will be been fulfilled by this midday meal program. Okay, so by simply giving this nutritional intervention, okay, so we can promote the health of all children and prevent them from getting malnourished, isn't it? So food distribution, child feeding programs, food fortification, so these are all nutritional interventions coming under promotion, health promotion activities. Okay, nutritional education and all. Similarly, lifestyle changes, we have talked about a lot about it, so I'll not go more. Lifestyle changes, doing yoga, exercise, and all. Then come to specific. These all were about health promotion. Now is health specific protection. I told you while teaching that intervention, specific protection means protection towards specific disease. Okay, like I told, immunization towards the preventable, these 7 preventable diseases. Okay, like tuberculosis, DPT. Okay, and hepatitis, hemophilus type B influenza. So all these things are comes under immunization, which is specific protection towards a specific disease. So this is a specific procedure that removes the possibility of disease occurring or death or accident at a time when the disease have not attacked the man. So before the disease occurs, when the risk factors are there, you can just have, because we know risk factors under 5 children, they are more prone for this kind of diseases. What are those? Tuberculosis, measles, diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus. So that's why we are giving under 5 children, according to national immunization children, we are giving all the vaccinations, isn't it? Then disease and situation specific. Given examples, I told immunoprophylaxis, chemoprophylaxis, seroprophylaxis. These all comes under personal prophylaxis. Okay. Then control of transmission, like notification, isolation, quarantine. All these things will comes under this specific protection category. Okay. So isolation. So now you already you must be knowing, because this in COVID era, all of you, we are talking about isolation and quarantine. So these are some specific protection measures where we are trying to control the transmission of the disease. Okay, disinfection, sterilization, all this comes under control of transmission, is a form of specific protection. Okay, and personal prophylaxis at while going on the road, the helmets, headgears, gloves, apron, these condoms also. So these comes under personal prophylaxis, because you are at risk and you want to prevent yourself from getting disease. So though there comes the primary level, there comes the specific protection. So this personal prophylaxis, control of transmission, all this comes under specific protection. Then prevention of allergen and carcinogens, and nutritional supplements like iodine and vitamin. Okay, so vitamin supplementation and iodine. So you must have heard about vitamin supplementation, vitamin A under 5 child, because they are more prone. Okay, so under 5 children are more prone for this night blindness. So that's why we are giving vitamin A prophylaxis to those under 5 child. Okay, and similarly iodine fortification also you might have heard. There you are giving nutritional supplementation of iodine in terms of iodine fortification. So this is also some examples that already use of PPE. This also is one of the example. So I'm not going to more examples. Then come to secondary level, where the two interventions are early diagnosis and treatment. Okay, so there you'll get diagnosis, early diagnosis, where you must have heard about this screening procedures. So disease entered the man but not entered yet to enter the clinical zone. So means this is already maybe in incubation period or maybe in asymptomatic. It is not travel to incipient stage. It is already in the early stage. It is not gone to late pathogenic phase. Okay, so detection of disturbances in mechanisms while changes are still reversible. So there you will apply the secondary prevention or early diagnosis and treatment. Okay, clinically important in reducing high mortality, morbidity in many diseases like cardiovascular disease, cancer, TB, and leprosy. Okay, so can you tell me about what are the early diagnosis methods for cardiovascular disease or cancer or TB, leprosy? So you just write in the comment box if you want to, or chat box. So these there are some screening methods. Okay, so for all these cancers you might have heard about this pap smear. Okay, for cervical cancers. Mm. And also for leprosy and TB also. For TB also we can do this normal sputum examination if it's symptomatic. If not, sometimes you are doing, suppose you are traveling for any country, so they must ask you for this tuberculin test. So these, there are some sort of screening programs for different diseases. For breast cancer also, so like breast cancer, suppose uh, is there, so any screening methods you know about breast cancer? So you can write means one method that who are more prone, so they already have risk factors. Okay, and they have, they're trying to already have disease also. So to at the early stage you have to identify these things. Okay, so there are screening method, breast self examination, pap smear. So these are some of the examples. Secondary prevention is less effective and associated with physical pain and mental anguish. As you know, once the disease has occurred, so then it's difficult. Okay, so once the disease has occurred, so then only you will treat. So the, if you, in the first place, if you prevent the disease from occurrence, then it will be more effective, isn't it? So case finding and diagnosis are individual or mass, and screening surveys are done for this secondary prevention. Periodic examination and high risk approach screening are also available under the category of this early diagnosis in secondary prevention. And this is another example for this main intervention in disease control, this early diagnosis of tuberculosis by examining this sputum, okay, from the TB patient. Then come to this tertiary level of prevention, which includes disability limitation and rehabilitation. The disability limitation, you might have heard about filariasis. So most of the Andhra Pradesh, why I'm giving this example, because we are from the this zone, Andhra Pradesh, mostly Western Andhra Pradesh, they are most more prone for these filarial diseases. You might have heard also. So these are endemic for filariasis. As you know, once the filariasis has occurred, elephantiasis, so there is no treatment as such. Okay, you can't can't reverse this back. Okay, so that will progress. You might have seen also, nowadays it's very rare, but if you come to this zone, so they are endemic for filariasis, you might get patients with a very huge leg. Okay, so who is having this elephantiasis. So once it occurs, you can't cure it. Okay, so there is no cure, you can say, no cure. So for them you just need to provide some measures like disability limitation, so that they can again try to do their normal activities. Not normal, at least they will try to do, get back their little function. Okay, so like leg, elephantiasis of the leg, so they will be taking care of the leg by washing with the soap and water, by exercising or doing some physical exercise with their leg and thumb. Okay, so this is the picture showing that only. So prevent and halt the transition of disease process from impairment to handicap. So it will prevent the disability limitation intervention, will prevent the patient to going to become handicapped. Okay, so this is the phase under tertiary level of prevention, which will halt the transition of the disease from impairment to handicap. Okay, so like example, polio. Okay, disease is the polio. Okay, when the, because of polio you will get a foot drop. Okay, so earlier, nowadays the polio has been eradicated. I shouldn't be giving this example, but for uh, explaining or for understanding, so you can just take this example. The polio disease, once it's not get treated, suppose, so then they will land up into foot drop, that is impairment, and they're not able to walk. Okay, they become disabled. Okay, and because of not able to work, they might lose their job, they might be socially outcasted or something. That's also, those things can be tackled by rehabilitation. And disability limitation will prevent them from getting handicapped. Okay, and unemployment is handicap. So I thought, I suppose all of you have understood. And this is about limit 45 minutes, means you people might have exhausted. Still few 2 3 slides, then I will finish. Rehabilitation is nothing but combined and coordinated use of medical, social, educational, and vocational measures for training and retaining the individuals to the highest possible level of functional ability, that we have discussed also. So, like example, rehabilitation here, we are providing the crutches and calipers for children with polio paralysis. Okay, so who has earlier picture, who have got polio, so because we're providing them with calipers and crutches, so we can prevent, we can rehabilitate them. Okay, we can make them again to walk at least. Okay, to function, to bring back their function to about normal. So this is called rehabilitation. Okay, this is physical rehabilitation. We are trying to make them physically normal. Okay, not absolutely normal, but trying to make it physical normal by providing them with caliper and crutches. The example of physical rehabilitation. Okay, so that's all. So for the in the summary, I hope all of you have understood. It's very simple but very important chapter, and you might get a long question also. So in terms, I will just summarize with a few lines. There are three level of prevention. Okay, one is primary, secondary, and tertiary, and another one. Please don't forget, one is primordial, which comes earlier than the risk factors. So before the development of risk factor, you can provide primordial prevention in form of health education to prevent the risk factor to appear. Okay, then primary prevention is the best and cost effective and less suffering. Okay, as I told you, secondary prevention also, or tertiary prevention. So those are uh, levels where process where the disease has already been occurred and already been progressed. Okay, so better to practice primordial or primary prevention, which is very cost effective, is the best, and it is also have less suffering with less anguish and less pain. Okay, but secondary tertiary level of prevention, it demands more of it has actually more suffering. Okay, so already disease occurred and also complications are already occurred. So this will is won't uh, if it won't help in real, it won't be effective as such. Okay, so better to practice primary or primordial prevention to get a perfect health. Okay, absolute health, you can say. Then intervention for each level is different. Okay, so that's why you need to understand at what level which kind of intervention you would apply. Okay, and how you will apply. Okay, that's all, guys. Thank you so much. Before I end, I want to end this with this quote: an ounce of prevention is worth of a pound of cure. So cure is nothing. So the main community medicine is all about uh, telling people how to, how not to take any medicine itself. Okay, so you will tell the people, you will educate the people, you will promote the health, and by telling them how not to take any kind of medicine. Okay, so that's all about community medicine, and these are some of the sites you can go through. So the video will be available for you maybe in YouTube, so you can go through these three sites. This is the educational site, you will get a lot of information about different topics in community medicine. And the second one is about nutrition. So if you want to more interested in nutrition, okay, so then you go through this. And the last is about my own site. I'm writing some blogs about these current situations, relevant current context, so you can go through it. Okay, and if any doubt, you can ask me now.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a wonderful session. Ma'am, let's wait for a few minutes for the queries from the viewer.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, can you please stop sharing your slide, ma'am?
Yeah.
We'll just wait for a couple of minutes, in case we have any queries from the audience session on the live chat in YouTube. So students, I hope this session would have been so much interactive and you have enjoyed it. And thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us a detailed explanation of the prevention. And students, please spread the word to all your friends and so that everyone gets benefited. And you can also share our YouTube channel. And this is the link. And this is our Facebook page. And you can also access the recorded videos, MCQs, and all the announcement of the sessions will be made at our Facebook page. So this is the upcoming session, students. So it is going to take place by 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. by Dr. Anjali Shetty from GMC Aurangabad on the topic respiratory physiology. So this is on tomorrow's sessions. The session one will be taken by Dr. Nandita Chatterjee from IQ City Medical College on the topic growth and the exam point of view, the questions at 5 to 6 p.m. And the second session will be taken by Dr. Mohammed Khalil from Deccan College of Medical Science on the topic meningitis, diphtheria, and tuberculosis at 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Thank you, students. Ma'am, since there is no queries from the viewers at the chat session, we shall close the session with this. And thank you
Yeah.
for such an informative session, ma'am. I hope all the students and viewers would have got benefited. Thank you for sparing your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, students. We'll see you all in the next session today.